God of War 5 Ragnarok is not only confirmed, but it's coming way sooner than any of us could expected. Sony is trying to take all my money and they are succeeding. We even get a full-blown gameplay trailer. We know a bit of God of War 5 Ragnarok, including the main antagonist. So I've compiled a crap ton of lore about the actual Ragnarok, and discussed all the possibilities that could occur in the next game. Heavy spoilers ahead for God of War. You have been warned. So here's everything we know about God of War 5 Ragnarok. The release date. Shockingly, we actually had a release window for God of War 5 in 2021. However, since then, God of War has unsurprisingly been delayed to 2022. Even getting this game out next year is wild, considering God of War just launched in 2018. Sure, Santa Monica Studio has had 4 years, but it's way sooner on how long it took to get Horizon Forbidden West and Last of Us Part 2. Now the real reason God of War 5 got delayed, because the voice actor of Kratos had to have surgery, so Santa Monica delayed the game just for him. And that is amazing. It shows you how true blue that gaming company really is. Since Santa Monica Studios already built God of War from the ground up, we imagine that it will be easier to create a sequel to the 2018 game of the year. But since this title will be coming to PlayStation 5, we'll get enhanced graphics and hopefully higher frame rates. There hasn't been an update on the release date for God of War 5 Ragnarok, but we recently learned that God of War will be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 5, and the game will also carry over to your save data from the PlayStation 4. So it's practically dead silent on the news from concerning God of War 5 Ragnarok. But we got some insight into what platforms the next God of War game might be on, at least according to former Santa Monica employee David Jaffe. Jaffe was streaming none other than God of War when he made a comment on the fate of God of War 5 Ragnarok. I'm sure the next God of War will be PS4/PS5. Of course it will. Jaffe also echoes the words of Jim Ryan, the president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, who stated that Sony will support PS4 for the next few years at very least. What Jaffe is saying isn't necessarily a confirmation, but as someone with insight into the studio, he may claim to have some truth to it. We got the first real trailer drop recently, and the release date remains unchanged, launching sometime in 2022. God of War 5 Ragnarok is officially coming to PlayStation 4. God of War Ragnarok will offer a digital upgrade option for a disc or digital PS4 to the digital PS5 version for an additional cost. Recently, God of War was just confirmed for PC, so it's entirely possible that God of War 5 may launch on PC at some point. The story. If you've beaten God of War, you know exactly where this game is going to go. It's time for the end of times, at least for the Norse gods, aka Ragnarok. In the previous game, we got a bunch of background about what is prophesied to happen when Ragnarok begins. In real Norse mythology, Ragnarok begins with a great battle that leads to the death of many gods, including Odin, Thor, Tyr, Freya, Heimdall, and Loki. However, God of War's depiction is slightly different, as Ragnarok was first prophesied by Jodin Saraskora. At the center of her prophecy is a white ghost from another land and his son, aka Kratos and Atreus. After Odin learned of his prophecy, he killed her, but she didn't tell him everything, so he obviously committed himself to seek out more knowledge. The giants in Jotunheim actually knew everything about Ragnarok, which is why Odin invaded and tried to catch a peek of their prophecy. Odin then went on a killing spree, taking out giants in all of the 9 realms. The giants retreated to Jotunheim and shut themselves off for the rest of the realms to protect themselves as well as their prophecy. When we get to Jotunheim, we get a whole mural that prophesies the events of Ragnarok. Surprise! The first mark of Ragnarok is Baldur's death, the very antagonist we murder in God of War. Baldur's death is followed by Fimbulwinter, which is a 3-year-long winter. Then, after 3 years, Ragnarok begins, both in and out of the game apparently. It officially begins when Skull and Haiti, 2 giant wolves, devour the sun and the moon. Then Surtar the fire giant burns Asgard to rubble with his flaming sword just before killing Thor and Odin. A war between Odin's gang, the Aesir, and Freya's crew, the Vanya, then ensues. In the war, a battle between Fenrir and Odin breaks out, and they both die. Eventually, a battle between the World Serpent and Thor occurs, and apparently Thor hits the serpent so hard that splinters and sends the serpent back in time. The major reveal at the end of Mirror was a depiction of Kratos' death at the hand of his own son, Atreus. It's unclear how many, if any, of these events will come to pass, as we've seen Kratos defy fate and destiny time and time again. However, after Kratos' death, it's prophesied that Atreus meets up with a group of wolves, and the 3 of them travel together. I'm assuming these groups are in fact Skull and Haiti, but that's just a guess. Meanwhile, fans are picking apart God of War director Cory Balrog's Twitter for clues. If you got the cleverly hidden ending at the end of God of War, you know that Thor is going to be a prominent figure in this game, and he is pissed. You know, because you killed 2 of his sons, Modi and Magni, it's more likely that he'll be God of War 5 Ragnarok's primary antagonist. Despite having a prophesized run with the God of Thunder himself, we actually haven't heard his voice in God of War, so we don't know who will be playing him in the God of War 5 Ragnarok game. And given that 4 will need to be cast, we might see a slightly different face model for him in God of War 5 Ragnarok. However, we know what 4 looks like and who he's playing, Ryan Hurst. That's right, the Sons of Anarchy character. So yeah, anyway guys, thanks for watching, I'll see you guys in another video. Cheers.